So in 2002, spring of 2002, I had run into, I guess you would say, a bit of a social conflict with several people. And just like I said with breakups, if you're in a breakup, the last people who will let you turn to them are usually your friends. They want nothing to do with it. And likewise, when you're involved with intersocial conflicts, friends just did not, if I got paid every time I heard the phrase, I'm staying neutral in this, I don't want to get on anybody's side, I would be a very rich man right now. And again, just like with the breakup in 99, about the only place that I could turn to was food, and I did. By that point in time, I was in graduate school, so instead of the $40 of Chinese food that I could afford when I was in the factory, my drug of choice was ramen noodles. 10 cents a pack, you can load about 5 or 6 of them up. I didn't even put liquid in them. I just made the noodles. I ate the noodles raw. Sprinkle a little of the sauce packet on it. Good to go. Serve with a side dish of some kind of cheap lunch meat. I was to the point, I knew when the local Winn-Dixie would clear their different meat products out, when they were going to expire and would go on like slashed liquidation prices. I'd go in, I would buy en masse, I would just put them in the freezer and then just, kind of pick them out and start to nosh on them. And again, my motivation, my idea was I had a certain amount of strength when I was in that role of being the big guy. Of course, being the big guy means that I needed to gain all of the weight back. And that was what I spent the first half of 2002 doing. And then I spent the second half of 2002 beating it down. And then as my first graduate degree started to reach its crescendo, if you've ever had to study for a 7-hour comprehensive exam covering a 50-book reading list, that determines whether or not your 3 years of work will actually allow you to graduate. You can understand the stress. And again, I turned to eating. In this case, it was just because I didn't have time to work out. I was literally, if I wasn't teaching, if I wasn't working for the classes I was taking at the time, I was studying for that test. And then when the test was done, I kind of kicked back. It was, let's party. And finally, by the fall of 2003, when I was starting my second master's degree, I had a little bit of a revelation. I had a few professors in my field who had come in and kind of given me a little insider information. You didn't hear this from me. They looked down each end of the hallway and they closed the door, speaking in very hushed tones. But essentially the gist of the conversations were all, in spite of what you hear about academia being this freewheeling, ultra-liberal, do what you want kind of place, looks matter. It matters how you dress, it matters how you groom yourself, it matters how you present yourself. And that kind of inspired me. The fact that I was starting in a new field, I had just gotten into education, I had started on a second master's degree, it was a new degree. I kind of took that as a new beginning. And I made this huge press to just savagely tame my weight. By that point in time, I knew exactly what I had to do. It was just like picking up a discarded bicycle, getting on it, and riding. And by the end of 2003, I had gotten my weight down to the point, I went out, I bought a whole new wardrobe. This whole wardrobe that you've seen behind me the entire time, all of those clothes back there are the old professional wardrobe. I've carried them with me. Penn and Teller have this great saying, everybody's got a gree-gree. A gree-gree being a voodoo term for kind of a lucky charm that you keep for you to ward things off. In my case, that professional wardrobe was my gree-gree, because I always kept it under the assumption that I would eventually start to take some of this weight off and maybe get things back under control. So, lost the weight, got my hair cut, in spite of the fact that I've been trying to regrow it, shaved my beard down. Everything was going well until the summer of 2004, when I moved back on my own. I had my ex, of all people, when I got laid off from Lucent in 2001, agreed to take me in as a roommate. It was kind of a beneficial relationship. He wanted to rent the room out. I needed somewhere close to campus that was cheap. So it was kind of win-win for both of us. By summer of 2004, I had 2 master's degrees under my belt, and even as an adjunct, I was making money enough to support myself. So I moved out, and when I moved out, it was almost like this second adolescence. I did not have the best adolescence. I spent most of my adolescence hiding out on my father's couch watching TV because there was no one my age in the neighborhood to go out and interact with, for one. And two, for a 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old, Flint, Michigan is not the happening kid's place. So I was sedentary. I spent most of my high school period just kind of hiding out because I was taught not to fight back. So of course I had a lot of bullies. Fat kids just kind of draw people to them who were looking to give them shit. And here I'd been trained into this state of passivity. So when I moved out in 2004, that was kind of my second adolescence. Everything over the top. I went into slob mode. I started to put on weight. I started to grow my hair out. I grew my beard back. My apartment looked like a comic and toy store had just exploded in it because I was making enough money as an adjunct. I could subsidize that kind of lifestyle. And I can remember by the end of 2004, I had pretty much given up on trying to keep my weight under control. I had just figured this is the way my body wants to be. This is how things are going to go. Go with the flow. I spent most of my 20s hearing people telling me, go with the flow. You're fighting too much. Don't resist the system. Don't resist society. Don't resist what other people. So, 32 years old, I'm in my own place. I'm back. I decided, okay, I'm going to go with the flow. I'm going to eat until I'm not hungry, and if my body wants to turn it into fat, well, at least Walmart now carries 3X clothes, and if I get bigger, I can always go to Kmart for the 4s and 5s. And then in March of 2005, I lost another friend, again, someone else in the furry community, a gentleman by the name of Al Davis. And Al, again, another big guy. He died of diabetes. When Mark Wallace went quickly, relatively speaking. Al was long and drawn out. And I had read the obituary, and I had read a couple of the things that he had gone through in his final months. And I kind of thought about the idea, well, maybe I should go back on the diet, maybe I should get it back under control. And that lasted a whole 2 weeks. I was teaching in public school. As you've gathered from previous entries, public schools are not an emotionally healthy environment to work in. I don't care what any teacher tells you. If they tell you that, then they have just drunk the Kool-Aid and they are waiting to pass on. The American Public High School is a toxic environment right now for people who work there for so many different reasons. So I just let the weight slide. 315 turned into 325, turned into 350, and then September 2006, Labor Day, I can remember I had just gone out with my roommate to lots of pasta night at Olive Garden, and I just felt like shit. I was bloated, I was miserable, and I grabbed my handy-dandy little tape measure that I bought way back then, and I've always used to kind of keep a measurement of my body. I had a 60-inch belly, 54-inch chest. Then I stepped on the scale, and for the first time, 365. I was only 35 pounds away from 400. At that point in time, I had to do something. And I fought. I fought the way I had never fought before. There were even other issues. My limbs hurt, my ankles, my knees. I'm not going to go deep into it, but it was hard keeping myself hygienically cleaned and appropriate. I was too damn big. So this is kind of where I am right now. Like I said, I started this in September. I had a little bump in November, a little bump in February. That's where I'm coming down from. I'm coming down from the February bump right now. So I'm kind of hoping as I keep going through this process, I look back and remember where I've been.